Hello, lovely viewers. This is that Eurovision site, Eurovision with a Slice of Life. Joining me today is,
Hello, I'm Kittens. I use she, her pronouns.
and I am Ewan. I use he, him pronouns. We're continuing to review this year's songs. We are all back on some internal selections, and today we are going to be discussing Nemo with their song, The Code. Kittens, I hear you're a fan of this song, so this might be a very interesting video that we're
Uh,
going to discuss. But before we get into that, so Switzerland opted for an internal selection. So they were teasing us in the release of this song because they decided to announce that they're not going to go for a male ballad
Ballad.
because if you're au fait with Switzerland and Europe, you'll know that 2023, 2022, 2021, and 2020 were big male power ballads. They've opted for something very different with opera, trap, five other genres that I wouldn't even be able to describe with Nemo's The Code. So Nemo will be representing Switzerland this year. They opted for the internal selection. So they have a songwriting camp every year in Switzerland, and then they had the internal selection. So any artist that could wanted to do so could um, submit to represent it. And Nemo was the one chosen. Let's start it off. Kittens, what are your overall thoughts on The Code?
So when it came out, I was watching the video and when it started, I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like, and then I was like, and it just the more it changed and the more it just became anybody who's not worked this out, I'm a massive fangirl of this song. I am so in love with this song. It just has so much and it makes my brain just like fizzy. I love it. Um, I can't get enough of this. It is there's so much going on that my brain is just like I am never bored of this song. Every time I hear it, I am like, and I keep hearing like new things in it. I love it when that happens, when you can listen to a song like 300 times, and on 301, you can be like, oh, I didn't hear that before, kind of thing. So I am absolutely overjoyed with this selection. I have never been a Switzerland fan, and this year I ordered the flag within an hour of it coming out. That's all I have to say. I'm I cannot be sane about this track. I am just very a lot about this track. And I feel like I'm definitely gonna become annoying about this track. I think it's genuinely great to hear something really, really different from Switzerland and to hear them taking a risk and, not putting out their normal fodder has been really interesting. Um, the whole, they've obviously known, they knew when they were sending out stuff saying not a male ballad, they knew that they were getting lambasted for sending the same stuff every year. And at least we have now got this opportunity where they have sat and gone there and gone, right, we're just gonna change up and do something different. Um, so I wanna, whatever happens, Switzerland have made a change. They have seen something that has happened that is not going so well for them. It's gone okay, but not like and they're taking a risk and the like hype around the code just seems to be really high in the fandom. I mean, I know I am in a situation where I'm going to see a lot of positive stuff, but certainly to see that it is, getting into people's brains and getting that kind of hype has been really interesting because I genuinely, when I heard it, I wasn't sure if other people were gonna hear it in the same kind of way that I did, you know.
I think a lot of what you've said echoes in like how I feel as well. But I was actually quite disappointed when they announced it wasn't a man ballad because as people who are familiar with our content will know, I do like a man ballad a lot. Uh, Remo was in my top three. I mean, I know Mara Spirit wasn't that loved, but like I really enjoy it, and of course Jean Tears was chef's kiss. So I was a little bit hesitant when they were saying not a man ballad because you always hear this thing where like countries should stick to what they're good at. Stop to like you're good at this, but it's always in relation to mid-tempo girly pop songs. It's always Cyprus, don't divert us, stay with the mid-tempo girly pop songs. So the fact that Switzerland was doing relatively well uh with the man ballads is like, why are you diverting from this? But then the song came out and it's like, well,
Yeah, we
I no longer have that opinion. Go wild, because
we had a weird moment where we almost all were like, we either love or like the song in the server.
who ruined it?
I can't remember who
Was it?
ruined it,
Oh,
but
it was Rory. It was Rory.
people were
Yeah,
definitely like, I enjoy this. This is on the good side. Um, and that was like, oh, people are getting this. Because I think with a song like this, where it is so chopping and changing, you do run the risk of people just being like, I just don't get it and I absolutely hate it. Um,
I think there's a good comparison you can make is North Macedonia 2018. Because that is also like three songs in one, and I like it, but it's a mess.
mm.
But Switzerland really have been very conscious in how they have put all of these different elements together. They're also like they're fully like leaning into the fact that they're being like it's weird, it's out there. Like their social media is like, how many songs, what genres do you want to? It's like, yes. Like
Yes.
they're fully owning it. It's not just a case of like, no, this is a normal song. It's like, because it's not. It's
No.
opera and rap.
It's
Like, but
opera and rap and drum and bass
yeah,
elements and
it's weird, but like the fact that they're actually like admitting it's weird but good. They're trying to make something great quality. And yeah, so I've absolutely loved it because I think Remo also they can do the rap, they can do the opera, they can do all of this. It's not just they've given some a ballad or a rap song or a pop artist some opera. They've actually tailored this to how Nemo's voice works, and like it works with them so well, um, which has
and
made
I
me so excited.
yeah, and I think as well the fact that it's such a personal song lyrically
Mhm.
is like, because the lyrics are about them being non-binary and about breaking the code and all that kind of stuff. I think it feels like a really personal song, and I think, sometimes you have a song that is, very a great song to dance to or a great song to sing to or a great song to, but it doesn't feel personal. And this feels very much like their story, their own story that is going to come from them, and hopefully then be on that stage telling that story as on a huge stage, to be having that non-binary artist tell that non-binary story is going to be a moment. It's going to be
And
really
especially because
interesting.
when a lot of the times when you have like this really this song that's so personal with the lyrics and it's not a sad ballad, it comes off weird and a bit shit. But because you got all the difference in there, it's fun as
Mm,
well. It's personal and fun. Like if you anyone who's not seen the music video needs to see the
yeah.
music video because Nemo, they're having such fun. There's that elation towards the end as they've broken the code and
Mm,
they're being themselves and like it's happy, it's fun. It's not just like a like standing there, it's like this is who I am. It's like this is who I am, excitement. And I think
yeah.
that will for people who because obviously I'm not non-binary, I'm cisgendered, like, but so I can't relate as much to lyrics like these. But I'm able to relate because they're actually like showcasing the happiness, the breaking the code, the elation to this one. And I think that will help um connect with the audience a lot more.
Mm,
Because if it's sometimes the park and bark, here's my story, it doesn't always work. It
yeah.
doesn't connect. But because you're seeing how happy they are, it'll
And
work.
this is an artist who is kind of encouraging people to say, how, even if you're not non-binary, how did you break the code
Mhm.
yourself? Like, what happened in your life? So I think a lot of people will have something, even if it's not about gender,
Mhm.
will have something that they can relate to, that works with the song. And
And I think on that one, because another one that this is probably completely contradicts what I've said about it being a ballad, but if you think of like Rise Like a Phoenix, those lyrics, they're so specific, but they're so broad as well.
yes,
This can apply. This can be it's because it's not just about being a drag queen or LGBT. It can also be about you being suffering bullying, but like going through anything because the lyrics
yeah,
are they're so specific but they can apply to anyone in any different situation.
yes.
And the codes, like you're saying, it can apply to so many different people for so many different things. It doesn't just have to be about relation to gender. And like the lyrics are genius with it.
Yeah, and it's I just think it's so well put together, and obviously you've got the artist encouraging people to be like, how did you do it? And it's like, I think, you know, obviously LGBTQ stuff has such a connection to Eurovision. Um, you know, everybody who has at some point come out as some variety of LGBTQ, queer, asexual, whatever it is, you've broken the code. That is, at the very least, that is a huge part of the audience right there, you know. Um, and yeah, I just think it's gonna be really relatable to a lot of people. The song is, although it is choppy and changing and moving and being different all the time, it does it in a really slick manner. We've had songs that, jump about from one genre to another. We have songs this year that jump from one genre to another. Thinking of stuff like Baby Lasagna and stuff like that, that jump slightly to a related genre. And this is all over the place, but is done in such a way that it does fit, it does work, it feels logical. And for me, every time it changes, it feels like you've just got this momentum in the song, that can't be, you know, I can't wait to see it live. I'm
So speaking of it live, what is your thoughts on how this is going to be presented? Because of course, in the last few years, like well, personally, I would say from Time Bell onwards, but a lot of people would say from Zibs onward, Switzerland has had fantastic staging. Because there was a time where Switzerland was, their staging was not up to it. Let's the dark times of 2016. Um, but in the last few years, they've really worked well with their staging. But in the last few years, it's also been darkish like styled pop song. Then you've got the run of like darker power ballads. This is obviously a happy song. How are you thinking about what they're going to stage this?
I have gone through the ringer thinking about how they're going to stage this, because I don't think, like, a lot of songs we have quite a clear way as to how I think it should be staged or how I would like it to be staged. And this one, I feel like the one thing I want them to do is let the artist really be involved in the staging. Um, because from what I've seen on social media, the artist has such a kind of personal style that they have this, this vision that they have creatively for themselves. And realistically, this is a song about themselves, in a way that a lot of other songs aren't. So I don't know how this is going to be staged, but I'm so interested to see how it's going to be staged, and I really want it to be their version of how it's going to be staged. The one thing I want it to be is really dynamic. I think you cannot do this static. This is this has to be moving.
Mhm.
This has to be almost, I would like it almost to be really busy, to be really all sorts of stuff is needs to be going on in this, in my opinion. But also I really don't want it to distract from themselves. Like, I want them to be center stage. This is their story. Um, so I'm very conflicted, but the only thing I can like say for sure is momentum and their story. Those are the two core things that I want from this. But visually, like, I can't be like, oh yeah, and they have to be like this and they have to be like that. I cannot work out in my head like how I want this to be staged. I just want it to have like them in it, you know.
I agree in parts, but I also feel that there is the strong potential of this to come across as too messy. So I think of course, they should be heavily involved in the staging because it's about them, but it should also be a hell of a lot of Swiss, the Swiss delegation, like they're getting the excellence and the quality they had before. Because look, this probably like going off a tangent, but like I love a staircase in Eurovision that leads to nowhere. It is the best prop. It's so pointless. It's so overly dramatic. It's so over the top. But the point where in the song about, is it 2 minutes in, where like they've broken the code, and in the music video, it's like the music video when Nemo's looking at the ticket, and
Yeah.
then that thing, that is the perfect moment to like just disappear a bit and then just appear with that operatic point, costume change at the top of the staircase with lots of light and lots of energy. That is the
Or maybe
only
at the
bit.
top of a large block.
No, it needs to be a staircase because it needs to be the ascent, the run, because they're running.
Mm,
There is This will need a lot of energy. The one thing I do worry though is if they put too many moving parts in this, too much moving across the stage, um, because transitioning to opera to rap and all the different
yeah.
elements, it might be taxing on Nemo's vocals. And I think there
Yes.
also needs to be consideration of that because there are too many times where you've just got there's so much. It looks great. Like Spain 2009 looks fantastic. But by the end of that performance, she's run around that stage so much that she basically can't. Um she's so out of breath. That's La Noche Espada Mia because I know, sorry, you're not
Yeah, yeah.
you're not
No, no,
you're,
I got that one.
yeah. um but yeah, I worry that it could, if it's not done well, if it's too messy, it could come off badly. What I really don't want though is the train. Because I've seen a lot of people say like, oh my God, they should bring the train and just have it like they're running through it. Like, no, it's you need openness. You need a big space. I
Yeah.
think condensing it into that one, it works for likes of Rosalind. That performance was amazing. It worked. But
Mm.
no, you need it's big. This is a big performance. It's not, it's although it's an intimate topic, it's not an intimate song.
No.
You need
Yeah.
you need the openness because it's loud, it's energetic, and you need to have everything in there. And there needs to be opportunity for a lot of light. Because
Yes.
Switzerland have been really good with lighting, compared to lots of other acts don't really use sorry, lots of countries don't really use the lighting well, but I think like in 2021 they used the lights better than anyone else in the entire year. It
Mm.
was so dramatic, and I think that there's so many opportunities to do something great here. But again, I'm rambling.
I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like I joked when we first saw the actual stage for this year that I was like, "Oh, Switzerland have their staging sorted out already," because obviously the stage is like it's a big plus symbol. But I would love to see them do something interesting with the stage being what it is.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't want that to take away from this song. Like, this song feels important. It feels like it needs to be dynamic but not messy,
Mhm.
this staging.
I feel also having dancers would make it messy because I feel it needs to focus on Nemo
See,
by themselves, just running across the stage. Of course, that's
I
conscious what I just said, but you know what I mean.
I am partially on the side of dancers, but mostly to make the performance more dynamic while saving Nemo's voice. So that would be the reason I would say that maybe one or two dancers, not like a pack, but to move, literally be moving while to allow Nemo to show off their vocals. That would be my thought. But I think there is definitely an argument for just Nemo on stage doing the thing.
Also, like a lot of focus on different camera work as well to like showcase the different transition between the songs as well, because a lot not just one static steady cam or one static spider cam, just one I like that's a good way to like
I want 1,000
showcase the
cuts
chaos.
in
Yeah,
this.
showcase the chaos. Like RIP all of the Steadicam operators because they're going to be.
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone else if you like watch the behind the Steadicam
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like
yeah.
they're doing a lot of work. Sorry, but they need to be doing a hell of a lot of work for this one because it needs to be there needs to be so many
Yes,
cuts, so many millions of things just to showcase because that's how a good way that you can really put across like the organized chaos of it
yes,
without limiting um like Nemo's ability to sing well without being too taxed by the live staging. But yeah, well, we're probably we there's because this is something that there's so many different ways that you can stage this. There's not it's not a simple just park and bark one. There like we could talk about this for hours, as
yes.
all Eurovision fans could. So moving on, what are your thoughts about how Switzerland have selected? Because of course this is the nine. I can't do math. There's been a lot of internal selection. Like, the große Entscheidungsschung is gone. Like, it's not temporary one. They're fully aboard the internal selections. Are you happy with this one? Are you happy with the songwriting camps?
I mean, I know there's a lot of argument back and forth about songwriting camps and how songwriting camps create, certain types of music. But I think here is a good example of songwriting camps not necessarily creating a certain type of music. You know, I, if you had told me how the code ends versus how it starts, you know, it it's like yeah, like I said, when I was listening to it, it was literally like, oh, 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 oh. And I think, there is a lot of discourse about, or everything that comes out of songwriting camps is crap, but songwriting camps have given us some absolute stonkers of songs over the years. Um, you know, I don't, they are there to help nurture songwriters and artists. And, you know, okay, sure, sometimes it's not going to pan out, but you can't guarantee success via almost any means. But certainly I feel like this is certainly one of the most original things Switzerland have ever done. Um, and you know, I have not been a Switzerland stan for ever. I could probably count on one hand probably the amount of songs of theirs that I actively enjoy. Um, Obviously they are listening and they are taking feedback and sitting there and going, okay, maybe we do need to try something different. I feel like it might be too early to tell if they need to change. You know, I they have been doing consistent. As good as bad as good and bad as that is, um, I really hope this is going to bring them a result, capital letters result, this year. Um, but I don't think that's necessarily because of anything they've changed in the process. Um,
Although I think if you do look at the process though, because you've got 2019, that's when they started the internal selections. So then since then, you've had Switzerland qualify every year. But in the decade preceding that, they only had two qualifications, and one of them was a last place. Also infuriating because Anna Rossinelli, top five, like In Love for a While, was one of the best songs of the year, and I'm still really mad that my favorite in the first year of being a Eurovision fan came last. But that's a completely separate thing. But then you've had them qualify every single time. Like
hmm.
I don't like internal
Part of me wonders
selections.
if they should have done, but
Um, like I don't like internal selections, and yeah, they're sticking like look, they're doing the bait of what I love, but it's working, and it has worked in the internal selections. Like the songwriting camps, yeah, it might be sticking to the same thing, but it's working for them because not every you can't. A lot of people tend to say like, okay, well, they came like okay 20th, 17th, and like that's not like amazing. But if you're a country that only has like one qualification in like sorry, two qualifications in then space of 10 years and like then go for a qualification streak, like a 17th place is actually noteworthy. Um,
yeah,
not every country like is aiming for top five. Some people are just aiming to qualify. So I think it's working, although it's not the way I would like them to do it, because there is that case of it's sticking to the same thing, and Switzerland has a lot of good niche music industries. Like they have a great rap scene and
mm,
things like that, but that's not going to get showcased in the songwriting camps.
yeah, I see what you mean. Like, I I do think that kind of, there is obviously this huge debate about the songwriting camps and what they create. I I think, to be honest, that this is the riskiest thing they've put out for a long time. And if this has come from the songwriting camp and is still a little bit more risky, I think it shows that something can come out of songwriting camps and it can be just as good. Is it potentially showcasing the music scene within that country? Or is it writing for Eurovision? Is two very different questions. Um, but they will have less incentive to challenge it if it's working. Uh it's the Melfest problem again. But this definitely feels like something different to me. I was not expecting to have Switzerland even in my top five, top 10, left side of the board for me personally. I'm like, you have my attention, you know? So if they are willing to fuck around and find out, for want of a better phrase, um, then I'm kind of willing to go with it and see what happens.
I'm gonna kind of like go one step further than like your this is the riskiest thing and they've done in a while. This is the riskiest thing they've ever sent, and they've been there since the start. Like, there's nothing. Switzerland is the epitome of middle of the road. So if they're gonna like I say, if they're gonna if this does well and this is coming out of writing camps, the writing camps in Switzerland are doing so much better than any of the other ones that come out for like the other countries because other countries writing camps are not
Mm.
great. The UK one was terrible. Um, so yeah, I want a national final. I want that showcase them. But like, if they're going to show, if this is the starting the trend of showcasing wildness, then wild Switzerland is what we need.
Mm.
But moving on to our probably final topic, where do we think this is going to finish? For context,
Oh my
when at
God.
time of this recording, there is currently no running order, so this is entirely based on vibes.
Hmm.
So yeah, where do we think that this is going to go? Because it's the first half of the second semi-final.
Hmm.
Thinking it's qualifying?
I would love to see it qualifying. I think there is a small risk that it will be messy and people won't get it. But I genuinely think if it can get the momentum, and obviously they are doing their damnedest to make this be at least viral hit, if nothing else. You know, the TikToks, the reels, and the social media is the game is on. The game is on. Um, they clearly want this to work. Um, I I am so biased on this because my brain is like, this is a winning track to me. But I am aware that I am very biased and there are people who are not going to get it, and it's a really strong year. So, my personal thought is this is going to end up at least top 10, but there is a risk that with the wrong staging or complicated staging or something that maybe throws their voice off, um, you know, or people just not fundamentally getting it, um, that I worry that there is a risk that it's not going to end up where it where I'd like it to be. And but my thought is personally, personally, I would be all 20 votes.
Personally, I think this is absolutely qualifying. I also think this is a potential contender to open the show because
Mm,
that semi, there's not really. I mean, you could probably make a case of Austria,
mm.
or Armenia being like the big bold because they like a big
Yeah,
bold opener. Switzerland, if they're staging as well, this could be quite the kick in like here's Eurovision 2024 semi-final too, and just like really going for it. So I think it's guaranteed to qualify. I have absolutely no idea how this is going to end up. I think there is a strong potential of this getting a fairly decent jury vote if the elements are all sung well. So it really is dependent on staging and how they're
mhm,
because Nemo they've got the voice,
yeah.
they've got the ability. So as long as it's not too taxing on them, solid top 10, even scraping a top 5. I don't think it's going to win. I think there are other songs this year that are potentially going would like to do that. But this is Eurovision 2024, and this is probably the most open I have seen it since God
This
2016.
this is an exceedingly Calvin Ball year.
Yeah.
Um,
This is so unbelievably hard to predict in a year. And I think we're going to end up on like such a low average percentage that you know what I mean? Like they're
yeah.
the averages of like what you're coming to tell about like I don't think the winner's going to necessarily win the televote or the jury. It's getting enough of those wins, and I think there is the possibility of it doing decent. I know
Hmm.
I'm probably going to I'm just immediately contradicting what I've just said, but it might win. But it's one of the 20 songs that could win.
Yes. I think definitely we are at the point where we have all the songs and we are still sitting there going,
And even
anything
when
could
we get the running
happen.
order, I don't think there's going to be there's much more clarification until we
It
get that
is,
final running order on the Thursday night in Euro Club at 1 o'clock in the morning when everyone's just looking at their phones like we can finally narrow it down to like 5 countries that might win.
it is going to be really interesting to see how it turns out. Really interesting because I just don't think that it's simple to predict.
But on that note, thank you so much for listening to us. Don't forget to follow us at That Hero Site on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Tumblr, and follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, podcasts, and basically everywhere where you can possibly potentially follow us. We're there. That Eurovision site, that Euro site, that Euro podcast, we're there. We will be reviewing more of the songs and also be at the pre-parties and at Eurovision itself. So stick around for more content for them. Thank you so much for listening to us today and hope you have a lovely day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.